I studied the 1880 to 1924 immigrant families, 50 Nobel laureates, and those were the people the Republicans hated so much that they closed our border.
We have an encroaching dictatorship in a constitutional democracy. The way you do it is a slippery slope. One lick of the ice cream cone, another one, soon they've eaten the whole thing. That's the way a dictator takes charge. Luigi is just one step of the way that they're doing that.
Hey, it's Jordan. I am in Flint, Michigan, East Palestine, Ohio, Tumwa, Iowa. Please support the only independent outlet on the ground covering what the corporate media covers up.
Hey, this is Ashley with Status Coup. I am live on the ground with John Farina in front of the New York Public Library and a We the People sign where people have gathered just a few days ahead of Earth Day to protest the illegal detainment and deportation of immigrants and pro-Palestinian student organizers.
Up for liberation! Down, down with deportation! Down, down with deportation! Up with liberation! Down, down with deportation!
The sign I did at the last minute, but it's true. I'm just horrified at the disappearances that are happening, the students whose visas are getting revoked, the innocent man that's in El Salvador that they're refusing to bring back. And we're going to be out on the streets as often as necessary to shut this down. It's just a nightmare.
I agree, and I appreciate all of that. And I also noticed it's a couple, Earth Day is Tuesday, so April 22nd, so your sign, Melt Ice is also
over there. I did this as I was running out. Someone over there has Melt Ice, not the Earth, which kind of covers it all.
No, that is great. Is there anything else that you want to add about the deportations and what's brought you out here?
Everyone needs to stand up against it because it's not going to stop unless we make them stop. They're doing everything they can to defy the laws. They're messing with, I don't know if I can say fucking, but they're fucking with the law firms and not allowing them to do their jobs. So, and they're going to keep coming for, one day it's the immigrants and the next day, who knows, so we just have to keep fighting.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. Is there something in particular that you have personally been affected by, or is it just you're a human being and this is all kind of horrifying?
I don't, except for the fact that I live right next to Columbia. I'm horrified by the capitulation. I'm horrified that they let ICE take their students. I feel like anytime anyone gives into this bully, he's just going to keep asking for more and more and more. It's extortion.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, that is how a bully works.
Oh, I mean, I am Jewish. I am against what's happening in Gaza. But this whole anti-Semitism thing, it's a Trojan horse that they're using to tear down all the various institutions. And it's really dangerous. It's fascism, and we just have to keep fighting.
Absolutely. And at this point, there hasn't actually been any concrete evidence that there is a anti-Semitic movement, brewing at Columbia or any other university.
Of course not. I mean, there's nothing. That's why I'm saying it's a Trojan horse. I'm sure at some of the protests there was, a person here and there that, maybe crossed the line. But defending Gaza and standing up against genocide is not anti-Semitism. You can be against Zionism or Netanyahu and their policies and the genocide without being anti-Semitic.
What do we do? Stand up, fight back! What do we do? Stand up, fight back! Say, what do we do? Stand up, fight back! Then free speech is under attack. What do we do? Stand up, fight back!
Excuse me, we saw your Luigi hat. We're with Status Coup News. Would you like to do an interview with us about why you're here today? So, why are you here?
Well, for numerous reasons, but mostly we have to end the basic encroachment of fascism upon this city and this country.
Absolutely. Is there something in particular that brought you out, whether that be climate change or the deportations?
First of all, they gave me the day off. Fools!
That is a good reason.
Second of all, it's a beautiful day. And yeah, all those things. Climate change is very important. But the most important thing is this guy right here. They have already determined that he is guilty. They've already determined they're going to give him the death penalty. And that's not the way that the United States Constitution works.
Absolutely. So you've been following that case very carefully, I assume.
Just a little.
Okay. And do you feel like that is kind of just combined with all of these other things? Like none of these things that are happening right now are happening in a vacuum.
We have an encroaching dictatorship in a constitutional democracy. The way you do it is a slippery slope. One lick of the ice cream cone, another one, soon they've eaten the whole thing. That's the way a dictator takes charge. Luigi is just one step of the way that they're doing that.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the analogy to an ice cream cone. Any other thoughts for Status Coup viewers before we let you protest?
They did a good job in hiring you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. When our rights are under attack, what do we do? What do we do?
What do we do? They wanted this tax cut, and they're hiding for their multimillionaire donors, and they're hiding behind him, but in the background they're doing it. And they're not complaining about, remember when Obama wore a tan suit?
I do remember that.
Yeah, that was a big horror, but, it actually sending thousands of people to attack the Capitol, the Republicans were fine with that. Just if someone's M13, accuse him in court, right? And instead they're making it like Democrats are supporting criminals, which we're not. We're supporting Americans. In fact, I don't know what this says.
My people were refugees too, is what this woman's shirt says.
Yeah, my grandparents came here, and my grandfather used to say it's the greatest country on earth. And in my entire adult life, Republicans have done nothing constructive for people who work that Democrats have opposed, whereas the list of what Democrats have supported that Republicans have opposed is very long. And then the Republicans get people angry, and they misdirect their anger at, it was commies, it was welfare queens, it was, one after the other. Now it's people who come here for a better life. And I also have to say I'm a scientist. They're destroying medical research in this country. They are the Republican law in 1924 that pretty much shut the border and trapped all the Jews in Europe to be incinerated. I studied the 1880 to 1924 immigrant families, 50 Nobel laureates. And those were the people the Republicans hated so much that they closed our border. So, I'm out here to protest the Republicans, really. And there's a beautifully praised, brilliant young woman scientist who got put in a jail and kept from her work from Harvard, and everyone says she's so talented. So she's a refugee from Putin's Russia, and yeah, they're real. And the other thing is that just think about, there are people who sit around and complain and watch Fox News, but there are also people who put themselves through so much believing there's something better. And those are the kind of people who you'd expect to be innovators. And it's like immigration selects for creative people who don't accept what's wrong but seek something better. And there are so many wonderful immigrants in the country right now, it's just terrible to think that they are being attacked.
Basically, we have here
the Trump kind of Charlie Chaplin, Hitler-esque.
I didn't even notice that. That's great.
Oh yeah, just playing with comes from that, the great dictator. Just playing with the earth as if it's just something, not important, something you just play around with and kick around until you don't have it anymore. So there's a lot taken for granted. And this is something I'm a big birder, so I'm worried about the environment and the future of everything, all the plants and the bees and the birds. So there's not any, any caring, any love for the future. It's all now, and it's all selfish, me, him. So, and this also incorporates the importance of immigrants and what they do here. They're undervalued, and they're very ignorant, our administration, what they represent, and how they generate positivity, and there's not enough of that right now, an acknowledgement of the reality and the beauty of the immigrants and of the earth. So that's
absolutely, and I appreciate how much the sign kind of comments on the interrelatedness of these several crises. So it's you can't look at these things in a silo; they're all interconnected.
Yes, I agree, absolutely.
And it's kind of there are so many things that are happening that, it's easy to forget that climate change is occurring while all of these things are kind of front and center. So you can't forget about that, because if we take our eyes off of it, we're going to wake up in, now, when we have a planet that is hotter than it's ever been and on fire, and we are not doing anything to stop it, or, as you're saying, protect future generations.
Right. There's no acknowledgement of the reality of how everything's about big business and about profits and capitalism, but gone crazy in a way where the earth everything is about generating growth, and it's just not happening. And we won't be here. It doesn't matter how much green you have in your pocket.
For sure. There is that good saying, no jobs on a dead planet, and that is where we're rapidly headed.
Yeah, and I feel terribly for young people, and you can't ignore that. It's going to come and swallow everyone up.
Absolutely. Do you have any other thoughts about any of this for Status Coup viewers?
Thoughts about what?
Thoughts about any of this climate change, the Trump administration, any of the myriad crises we have?
I understand how it's first on his agenda, leaving the Paris Accords climate. We're like the leading producers of pollution, one of the leading, China in the world, and there's just no acknowledgement. You have to take responsibility for your actions, not duck from them.
Absolutely, and a place like China that has kind of been thrust into the center of discourse right now, that is where all of our things are produced. So it's not just, China is the biggest polluter. It's China is creating all of our essentially garbage there.
Yeah, it's definitely, like you said, we're all interconnected. We don't exist in isolation, and this president wants us to kind of exist without any interconnectedness whatsoever. He doesn't understand. He doesn't have the intellectual capacity to really understand what's going to happen, because he doesn't care. He doesn't have the capacity. So.